Good evening, everyone, and welcome to July 14th City Council meeting. If everybody would like to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then afterwards, if you remain standing, we're going to go ahead and have a moment of silence for all the tragedy that has occurred in Texas over the last several weeks. A lot of loss of life and property. So, with that, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. On to our regular city council meeting. First item up will be the citizens' concerned about items not on tonight's agenda. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the mayor and city council on the record in the open public meeting. No immediate action will be taken on these issues in the interest of fair and transparent city government. All issues will be investigated, researched, or addressed as necessary, and with consensus of the city council placed on a future agenda. We do set a 5-minute timer for public speakers, and this would be for items not on tonight's agenda. Is there any of our residents who would like to speak to the council? I assume, Mr. Harding, you're not, did you want to speak now, or you're going to talk about the public hearing? This would be for items not on tonight's agenda. This time right here is.
Okay, can I speak later or just now?
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to listen to what you have to say before I speak.
Oh.
You know, I might have 4 more questions.
Well, unfortunately, you will get, you'll have to speak before we speak, so unfortunately. So. Moving on then, we will move into our consent agenda. If we have any council member or resident who wishes to have anything pulled, please specify that. Otherwise, I would go ahead and accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Gurley and a second by Ms. Woods. I will have the clerk record the vote.
Just a second here. Sorry, give me 1 second. This is not. Okay. Gurley?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Blanks?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, before we move on to new business, I will apologize to everyone. It's going to be a challenge this evening. For those who are unaware, we had a lightning strike and it hit the chimney stack of the City Hall, and that stack is right over the council chambers, and until the engineers have a chance to really ensure that it is structurally sound enough or do the repairs necessary, they don't want us to use City Hall. So that's why we're here this evening. So you're going to want to kind of pass this mic back and forth. So with that, the first item up is a public hearing to issue industrial revenue bonds for Skanell Properties, LLC, Building 2.
I will make a motion to cancel the public hearing concerning the advisability of granting an exemption from ad valorem taxes and issuing industrial revenue bonds for the Skanell Building 2, Block 3 North project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Gurley and a second by Mr. Shannon. And should I ask staff if they would like to explain why we're wanting to cancel this evening?
I wanted to make sure that you could hear me. We are canceling at the request of the developer. They are currently in talks with a company regarding some lease purchase agreements. So until they get those discussions completed, they don't want to move forward with it in case things change. So it will be rescheduled at a later date, probably closer to September.
Gotcha. Is there any members of the council wish to comment on this item at all? If not, I would go ahead and ask the city clerk to go ahead and record the vote.
Blanks?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. On to item number 2. Schedule and approve the notice of public hearing to exceed revenue neutral rate. I'll go ahead and I'll just read it, and somebody can raise a hand if they want to make that motion, agree to the motion. Well, this would be, no, this would be the scheduled public hearing for. Do we need to open a separate public hearing?
I stated
No.
There's no public hearing. This is setting the public
Setting
hearing
the
for
public
September 8th.
But we will be taking comments this evening, at least I'm planning on it. Okay. So, before we take a motion then, let's go ahead and the staff to make a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Tilly LaPlante, Finance Director. Tonight, staff is recommending for the council to approve setting a hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate with a current rate of 38.834, our current tax rate, and set the hearing for September 8th. This would, if we were to not exceed the revenue neutral rate, that would drop our mill levy rate to 35.634. So this is just setting the public hearing for September 8th, leaving the tax rate the same, and then on the 8th, we would hear comments from the public at the public hearing.
Any other input from staff at all?
I'm happy to go back over any of those slides if you think that it would be beneficial for anyone.
I know we've got one gentleman here who wasn't able to make it to the workshop. Would you like to go ahead, can we go ahead and go through a couple of those slides just so that way they can see that information?
Sorry about that, I didn't get the memo.
If you want to pull up that presentation, then I'll just. Quick recap of our session. Can you go forward to the mill levy slide? So this is one of the slides that tells a story of the past few years. In 2022, we had a mill rate of 42.892, and since that date, we have dropped it consistently each year. 2026 is a proposed rate right now to stay at the same mill levy, although we can always drop it before we approve our final budget towards the fall. So this is a mill levy calculation per 100,000 of appraised value. It gives you how to calculate a mill levy and how much each 100,000 of appraised value is worth at our current mill levy rate. So annually, we pay the city $447 per 100,000 of appraised value of your residential property. And commercial and industrial are taxed higher at 25%. This is one that we wanted to point out that if we went revenue neutral, we would lose money due to the way revenue neutral is calculated. So we would not even bring in the same amount of money that we brought in this year. We would lose $88,000 because of the way that incentives are calculated within the revenue neutral rate. So it would lower the amount that we're getting if we go revenue neutral, and we would have to find several $100,000 in our budget. Can you go back one? This one, I wanted to point out that 24, 25, and 26, you can see that bottom line for the total of all expenditures. Even though appraisal rates may go up due to new development or the way that the county appraises property, we have also lowered our spending. Okay, this is one that the finance director and myself go to meetings with other metro area cities, and we talk about everyone's plans for their mill rate changes and their proposed raises for staff and then programming changes and things like that. Overall, the average across the metro for the cities that participate in these meetings was a reduction of a little over half a mil at 0.6 mils. But as you can see, most of them are at none, which means they are not changing their mill at all. They are staying at the same rate that they were last year. Same mill rate. And then the proposed raises for staff, our compensation study that we did last year recommended that we do a COLA based on the CPI each year, and then an additional merit on top of that so that the employees have a way to move through the pay grade instead of the whole scale moving and then being stuck at the beginning. So it would be 2.4 COLA, that's what the CPI is, and then a 1% merit. But as you can see, the metro is higher than us on what they're proposing. So we don't want to fall behind again and then have to do the whole compensation study over and have a big chunk that's going to come out in future years. So we want to try to stay at least at what the metro is doing. So if we keep the tax levy the same, we found that we had to cut $25,000 from the budget to have our revenues equal our expenditures. That wasn't too difficult for us to find. We found that the animal control building improvements were duplicated in our capital improvement plan and in our operational budget. Took it out of the operational budget, leave it in the capital improvement plan. That's $15,000 of savings in our operational budget. The transfers to the UG for the amphitheater ended this year. They were still in there for next year. So that was another $25,000 that we were able to just automatically save because that's not an expense that we'll see next year. For keeping the tax levy the same, it aligns with our strategic plan goals to fund our capital improvement program and our long-range outlook, maintains a strong financial foundation, and strengthens our service delivery through transitioning a part-time senior center programmer to a full-time recreation coordinator to help out with all of the events that we have throughout the city, and then adding an SRO officer. The school district has been requesting that we have an additional SRO officer for middle school and some of the grade school here and there, and then also a bailiff for our court, which we do not currently have. 50% of this position would be funded by the school district because it is an SRO officer. So those are the only big changes that we're requesting for 2026. So we don't have a lot of extra that we're able to just go through and cut to be able to lower our mill levy. Our department heads are very conservative and responsible with their taxpayer dollars, and they want to make sure that they're not asking for more than they need. So we also came up with some scenarios. If we were to reduce our tax levy, this is by half a mil. Items in red are what we would be cutting if we were to cut a half a mil. The city manager intern, IT services across multiple departments, some city hall landscaping and window washing, and then the AEDs at city hall are scheduled to be replaced. There's 2 of them. We would cut one of those for next year and do it in a future year and only complete one of those replacements. To reduce the tax levy by 1 mil, we would do all of the cuts that we've already talked about. We would also cut that second AED replacement at City Hall. We would have further cuts to IT services, cuts across multiple departments for office supplies, personnel supplies, education and travel, and then police exercise equipment. They were going to invest a little bit more in their exercise equipment for their staff, but we would cut that out if we were to reduce by 1 mil. And then if we went with a revenue neutral rate, as I already mentioned, the incentives that we pay to developers are not calculated in this revenue neutral rate. So we would already be losing $88,000 that we would be paying to developers that we would not be taking in as revenue. In addition, we would need to do $314,000 in further cuts. The red are items that staff identified as possible cuts. In addition, we would have to cut some programming, and the options for further cuts are over on the side. We can ignore our compensation study recommendation and not do the raises. However, that gets us behind again on that. Even though we just invested in that, I would recommend we continue to do it. If we didn't offer the pool, Tidlow Transit, Senior Center, City Band, if we didn't do the Mayor's Banquet, if we did a hiring freeze for non-essential personnel, or I don't have a number for that because we're not sure what positions would come vacant between now and the end of the year, but if we went revenue neutral, we would probably have a hiring freeze for non-essential positions, but we would need to cut some programming to go revenue neutral. It's just which programs would need to be cut would be something we'd all need to discuss and decide. Is there anything else that would help?
Did you mention just what you want to see, right? You think that'd be helpful to see that? I don't have anything else myself. Thank you. Anything else from staff? If not, then, we can go ahead. That's what we're getting ready to do.
We do have to notify the county clerk by Sunday, the 20th, if we want to, on whether we want to see the revenue neutral rate, what the rate should be, and a hearing date, so that does need to be decided tonight.
We can always come down from that.
And yeah, we set the same rate as we have done in the past. We can come down after that, which we have done at the last several years.
And with that, we'll go ahead, we'll open up for anybody from the public who wants to come up and speak. We have a timer set. We usually, we're going to set a 5-minute timer for this evening.
That one, last,
Go ahead and speak into the mic.
the last, excuse me, the last presentation you had on there, could I see the screen, so everybody could see it? What I was looking at on that screen was the gym equipment and stuff like that. The fire department has a real nice gym set up there. Why can't we share that thing? It'd save like $10,000 right off the bat. Share it. You're not that far away. Drive right up the road and do your stuff up there, and you know, that would save the citizens some money. Right now, I know there's 572 people in foreclosure in Winnet County. I know you guys that say you don't have any land or anything, but the unified government, which is everybody involved, there's 4,000 land bank or land. And then there's 3,500 city properties that are owned by unified government. I'm not sure about you guys. I know there's some foreclosures here in Bonner Springs because I was at the sheriff's office and I was going through it. And sure enough, we have foreclosures and the sheriff's giving notice to people out here. And I know in my neighborhood, there was 10 houses in my neighborhood that people had to move because of taxes and insurance that they couldn't afford it. And they own the house, but their Social Security is not covering their bills. So I know, I always say, you know, go revenue neutral. The way I see it, last year when we went revenue neutral in unified government, the appraiser's office, I went in there and talked to them, to one of the head guys in there, they said, we saved the taxpayers $7 million. And I'm saying, well, what happened? Well, they overspent in unified government. They give too much away. And I know you guys, I'm not too familiar with you guys yet, but I've got my hands full between unified government and all the other schools and unified government, the library, Edwardsville, and unified government. And everybody's working together. It's not just me, but I'm just sort of a voice because the people are afraid in Wyandotte County. It's a shame to say, but there's retaliation on what you're doing. There's politicians, upcoming politicians are getting people coming to their house, threatening them, this and that. And it's not a fun thing, but it happens. I know myself personally. But the thing of it is, we gotta work through this and work together to come out to where the city can thrive. And what we're having a problem with the city and unified government is the citizens don't get a return on their money. They give billions of dollars away, they're $4 billion in debt, according to the numbers that Kansas, the state of Kansas has. And I give that to the commissioner and some of the commissioners and stuff, and they don't even realize it. Because they are given numbers from the staff of unified government, which is the financial, the lawyers, and David Johnston. Now, I know you guys got your financial people and stuff like that, which is great, which I don't know that much. I got an open record report from different things. We found fraud, USD 500, which is tied into Bonner and tied into Piper. Yeah, and the special programs they are. And there's a certain amount of money that comes to the USD 500, and it goes from there, and it goes out to here, to the schools in Bonner. You can check and see if I'm right. And that's what Dr. Stubblefield told me in a private meeting. We brought 2 people in there, and we were supposed to meet with her. We ended up having 6 people here. My time running out? 1 minute. But just to let you know, we're trying to work with you guys. We'd really like to keep into our homes. Myself, if I can't get something done, I'm gonna be moving. And that's how bad it is. You know, because I only get so much money coming in, just like the rest of the retired people. And, you know, I just hope you guys consider it. I know you guys talked about maybe dropping the levy a little bit. And that would help. You know, it might be $27 a meal, but you figure times each person, you know, like Edwardsville, they went down one mill levy. I don't know how many people was in there, but it significantly helped everybody. So anything we can do, we appreciate it. I'm sure everybody does. I'm sure you guys do too. You live here too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harlan. Is there anybody else from the residents who'd like to speak? Seeing none, I would go ahead and accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion authorizing city staff. Forgive me. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion authorizing city staff to notify the county clerks of the city's intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate, maintaining the current mill levy rate of 38.834, and set a public hearing for September 8th, 2025, to hear comments on exceeding the revenue neutral rate.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Shannon and a second by Ms. Flames. We'll go ahead and start with you, Mr. Shannon, for comments.
I've said everything, so.
I'm fine.
I think just want to point out that we're setting to not exceed our current rate of 38.34. We can come down from that. We're not setting that rate.
Again, so I just want to note that last year when we voted to have the hearing to be able to exceed revenue neutral, we actually came down a mill levy. We did not raise taxes last year on our end. Homeowners did not see a decrease in their taxes, our Bonner Springs residents, because the county's appraisals offset and overcame our tax rate. And that it's important to know that Bonner has lowered their mill levy consecutively for hopefully going on, 5 years staying neutral. Every year, Bonner has lowered taxes for our residents. But our residents don't see that because the county appraisals eat that up. So we are doing our best every year to dwindle down the quote-unquote excess spending to where, which, Chris, the slideshow you made, or that you showed, is that something that we could post online after the meeting for residents to go through and see? I think that would be really beneficial, and again, this is exclusively pertaining to Bonner Springs, not the unified government, and touches base on USD 204, not USD 500. But speaking from a Bonner standpoint, I think it's really important that our residents, and if other residents outside Bonner want to see what our spending looks like, that is the perfect opportunity to go through that and educate our residents on it. Because again, we have continuously lowered taxes. We are squeezing it as tight as we can, but at the end of the day, where we're at proposing to keep it the exact same is our operating budget. While there might be a few things, $10,000 here and there that we can cut, which is fine, our residents are not going to see a difference on their taxes from that, unfortunately, like I wish they did. I wish every time we cut even something, that it automatically brought $1 down here, and they were able to see that, but that's just not the reality, because the state sets revenue neutral, not us. The county decides the appraisals, which affects our homeowners, not us. And I wish there was something we could do about it, but that's just not the way that it works. But I just want to be very clear that we are doing our best in Bonner to lower the mill levy, and we wish that our residents could see that.
I don't have anything to add to what's already been said.
Just because we would happen to exceed the revenue neutral rate, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to spend more than we did last year. We might not. I know our staff tries to watch our spending and do everything they can to make sure we get the most out of every dollar. And thanks to our staff for that. And thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to go ahead and add a few additional things. I agree with most of the staff, or most of the council here, in that, as I said earlier tonight, for 20 plus years, the council as well as staff has worked hard at investing in our community economic development, and because of that, we have been consistently have lowered our mill levy over the years. I know that was, we're talking 12 years ago under Mayor Quincy Smith. That was one of the things he was most proud of, is he had consistently was lowering the mill levy. It continued through Mayor Harrington, and we're doing it now. Now, I understand that it's not necessarily the ideal. We'd like to have it revenue neutral. But we're at a point where everybody's actually trying to catch up with us. So the question becomes is, do we try to cut more trying to keep ahead of them in, unfortunately, the race to the bottom, or do we make sure we go ahead and invest in our staff, our buildings, to ensure that we have a good quality community for people to live in, to work, to play? I know you mentioned one thing was about the equipment, and that is a possibility. We could look at possibly seeing we could cut that out this year. But keep in mind, just like with anything, it may seem a little bit extravagant to an individual, but that is available to all our staff to be able to utilize that equipment, and their use of that equipment helps keep them in a physical shape, all of our staff members, that it helps with our insurance. So that little $10,000 investment actually ends up paying off in the long run with better reduced insurance rates. So everything has a plus and a minus to it. But with that, unless somebody else has got anything else to say, I would go ahead and have the clerk go ahead and record the vote.
Voting on a motion to authorize city staff to notify the county clerks of the city's intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate, maintaining the current mill levy rate of 38.834, and set a public hearing for September 8th, 2025, to hear comments on exceeding the revenue neutral rate. Shannon?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Blanks?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
McMahon? Motion passes.
Thank you, staff. On to item number 3, FP-02-25, replat of lots 6 through 10, the East Grandview subdivision. Mr. Lee?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Mark Lee, Community Development Director. This evening we're here to, lost my train of thought. We're here for the acceptance of right-of-way and easement dedication. Most of the right-of-way was actually already in place for this plant, but there is some easements to go around it. There was a bunch of existing lots in there that have since been sold, some of them were developed, and now the applicant is just taking the remainder and splitting it into 5 lots.
Anything else by staff to add to that? Seeing none, I would go ahead and see if anybody from the public wishes to comment. Seeing none, I would go ahead and then accept a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the dedication of the public right-of-way and easement for the final plat of 1755 South, 136th Street.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Reeves based upon the recommendation by staff, and then the second by Ms. Long. And we'll go ahead and start with you, Mr. Reeves.
See where this is on the map. I'm glad to see some development in that neighborhood. My question is, does that property come all the way down to Moore Street? Okay. I was concerned about whoever owns that property hasn't done a really good job taking care of it. Okay, thank you.
I have no questions, thank you. No questions, thanks Mark for your work on this.
Nothing there.
Will this require continuation of 136th Street to the north to give access to the properties?
No, it will not. The 2 smaller parcels are to the south and they abut the street. The north one will take access off of prior to that curve that goes around. So it will have access right in there.
That was my question about access.
No questions.
Maybe not the appropriate time, but out of curiosity, right there by there is on that north side of Willard. There's a lot of several, an acre plus there. Do you know if there's anybody who's ever thought about looking at developing that property?
No, and I'd have to ask, is that the farthest north street?
No, Willard is the same street where we just did recently did the lots.
Yeah, so there is, I have not heard of any potential development, but I know that individual is looking to sell that lot that was split a while back, have someone build on it, so that was down to 138th Street, that's right. And then, yeah, coming back, there's a big parcel, but not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I'm just curious. So if there's any other questions, comments, I would go ahead and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Reeves?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Blanks?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And that concludes our regular business. It'll be time for reports. First up will be the city manager's report.
The only thing that I wanted to mention was give an update on the chimney situation out there. I know you all are probably wondering. We have had the insurance adjuster and a couple of contractors come out and take a look at it. As Mayor mentioned, we are waiting on an engineer to come out to take a look at it and see if it's stable enough for us to have any services over in our council chamber, if we're gonna have to wait until they're able to get that taken down. It will have to be a full tear down and replacement, and we do have to replace it because it's a historic part of the building and we got historic tax credits, so we are required during a certain period of time from getting those tax credits to rebuild it as it was. So the engineer's gonna take a look and make sure that the stone wall's in good condition and we'll be able to support the chimney going back up, that it wasn't damaged or anything like that. It did do a number on some of our other electronics in our systems in City Hall, so we are still working on getting those back in order, but all of it will be part of that insurance claim for the chimney. I don't have a timeline yet, but as soon as we get information back from the engineer and we get a plan, then I will share that with you all.
Is there a lightning rod in that room?
There was not a lightning rod. They're
Yes, by the design and engineer company, and they helped us with that?
No, it didn't have one before, and they didn't put one on there. It's aluminum flashing up there, so it doesn't really attract too much. We're not sure why it hit that, as opposed to many other things that it could have hit around there, but
And it would have to be rebuilt. Can it have the facade of the history and the internal structure of modern?
that is what the contractors are proposing. So it's currently built with multiple layers of brick. Their proposal would be to come in with cinder block to build the structure and put the brick on the outside of it. We do have to use actual brick and the ones that match. And there was a certain brick that we had to order when we did the work on it a few years ago. So we'll have to get that same type of brick. But yes, the internal piece of it would be a different structure than it is now.
Thank you, Ms. Logan. And with that, we'll go ahead and go on to city council items, and then I'm just gonna hand the mic right back over to Ms. Gurley and put you up first.
You can always count on me to have council notes. First, I want to welcome Carrie and James to their first council meetings. We're super excited to have you at City Hall and at the fire station. Did I see that the Second Street sidewalk got completed? Is it done? We should do ribbon cutting for it, because I'm very excited about that sidewalk. I've seen multiple people in the community actually post about the Second Street sidewalk and the Morse sidewalk, which is really cool when our residents get to immediately use an upgrade and an investment in the community. I want to thank Megan and our police department and fire department for a very successful Bonner Blast on July 3rd. Megan ran a cell phone report. This is kind of scary, this is out there, but she drew a boundary in downtown Bonner, and any cell phones that stuck around in downtown Bonner for more than 10 minutes was counted. And between the duration between 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., we saw 6,500 people come into Bonner for Bonner Blast. So thank you to Megan and her efforts, and then Fire and PD were on site for support. Last week's Evenings on Oak was Satan's Lair. It was very hot. Megan was out sick, so I want to thank Amber, our city manager, for being boots on the ground with me and getting Evenings on Oak set up and working the event till close to 8:30, and then volunteered at City Band with me. So thank you, and I do want to give a special shout out to Captain Kelly and Officer Cooper for being on site to support us as well. We always really appreciate that. Just a few community events coming up this week and next week. The 17th is community engagement at the police department with Chief Knapp at 6:30. The 18th is our Women's Chamber Network collaboration event with KCK Chamber from 8 to 10. The 22nd is actually a ribbon cutting for our very own Councilwoman Cassandra Long's business on Oak Street at 2 p.m. The 24th is Edwardsville Waterfest from 1 to 4 p.m. And on the 25th, the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office will be at our aquatic park cooking hot dogs and providing free entry for the first, I think, 250 people, and that will be from 4 to 7. So a lot of really great community events coming up. So if you can make it, please join us.
And are you going to send that out?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for all of those updates. Matt Beats are still here. I wanted to also call out your staff from Water Blast. They really helped so much with keeping up with trash. They were so friendly and available. A lot of people thought that they were security and kept asking them a lot of questions, like, can you help us find the parents of this lost child, or different things. So they were really great sports about the whole thing, and just thank you so much. It was Dolan, and what was the other gentleman's name? Zach, was it? Oh, yeah. So yeah, they were very, very nice. I just wanted to let you know. They were professional, kind, and also very helpful.
Yeah, I've noticed city manager's report that municipal court's been busy. I'm taking those are probably some frequent flyers that we've had problems with before, and that looks like a good deal. My only other thing this evening is on Spring Creek. It started this year, and they did a good job of killing vegetation along those sides, and it's been pretty good. But now all the rain we've had, I think, has washed away anything that's been there killing weeds, and so maybe we need to look at that again and see if we can put some more on it. If that would be appropriate in your budget. Other than that, happy to be here.
Okay, one last thing. I do want to echo what Cassandra said. Matt, Dolan has been amazing. I think even without you asking him to come to our events, he'll swing by when he sees that we're doing something to see if we need anything before he goes home. So he takes the extra mile. So we are very team Dolan from Public Works, always helping us out on our events.
They don't want to hear me talk about it.
Matt, would you ask your folks, I'm not sure if it's your team or if it needs to be pushed off to somebody else. It's Pratt and, I'm not sure if it's Castle or 137 on Pratt. The conduit with the power line to the street light is blowing loose at the
It's a
top.
castle.
Castle, right. The cul-de-sac just to the north of the baseball field.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing. I thought about mentioning it to them, but you brought it up. I will, just one thing to add tonight. I just want to kind of talk a little bit about July 3rd, the Honor Blast. That is one of the things that it's, to be honest with you, it gives me a great pleasure as the mayor is to be at those events, participating in them, and seeing how much of our community participates. Many of the council members you see up here, many of our staff members put in a lot of time and effort. We had in that park that evening for the concert, we had nearly 90 band members, and I would estimate probably 250 people listening to the concert prior to it. So it was just, I know it's a lot of hard work for a lot of these individuals. They really slave to make these events a reality, and it is really enjoyable to come out and watch. I'm glad you had that number, Megan, Emily, because I was curious how many people we actually had in town, because I drove through and it was packed. So if there's anything else by anybody, if not, I would go ahead and, I'm sorry.
Hello, sir. My name's John McCoffin. I do apologize for not being here earlier. I am running for Water Springs School Board. That's why I was not here, so I was part of the school board meeting. I'm not an incumbent. So I was saying, I do know that other ones who are not incumbents, so I'm going to fulfill those three positions. So I want to introduce myself and say hello. I do have 3 kids in the school district, and I'd love to help meet every one of you tonight. So thank you.
Nothing else by the council? Then I would go ahead and accept a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn at 8:21.
And a motion by Mr. Reeves and a second by Ms. Banks. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, being adjourned, ayes have it. I don't have a mouth tonight, so.